The first time you do something, it's special. It's the first time you'll ever experience this brand new thing. Here in Tower Battles though, it's like going to a party that already ended. All you see is the aftermath of what was, or whatever people do after things aren't as crazy. I think a better example would just be something that was popular, but now it isn't. Anyway, upon joining the game, you'll notice that it's Halloween. Join just in time for the event, right? No, that's been there for 2 years. Anyway, the first thing you should do is use the codes YesCapitalism and Update in a Minute 2022 for the Patriot Tier and Tweeter Towers. Make sure to equip both previously mentioned towers and the Scout. The game won't equip them for you, but it won't let you go without anything either. You've also got 100 credits which can be used to buy the Fragger or Sniper. Sniper is long range, relatively high damage, and is single target. Fragger throws grenades dealing alright splash or multi-target damage and has short range. I'd recommend buying the Sniper, but the choice is yours. Regardless of what you buy though, you will make it to the same place in survival mode. Probably. At the time of making this video, there's 3 modes: survival, versus, and event. Although this has also been the case for nearly 2 years. I would suggest playing survival a few times just to get a feel for the game. Usually you'll lose around wave 26 in solo, although knowing that you're a new player and that you suck, you'll end up dying to the boss 1 or boss 2, or somewhere in between. But that's not really your fault. You're new! You don't know how to do anything. It's like expecting a baby to know how to drive. You just got here! Although I will say this game is fairly harsh because there is so much spam thrown at you throughout the waves that come after 17. On top of that, how far you'll make it also heavily depends on the map you choose because your towers are very weak. Anyway, assuming you at least get to wave 20, you'll get the handsome reward of 80 credits. With those 80 credits, you can get yourself an additional, very good, incredible, nothing. Awesome. I mean, to be fair, all you had to do was just spam scouts and maybe tweeters, but still! Although I know that for some people doing that might be too hard, or really boring, or they just don't want to figure it out. I can understand the first 2 people, but that third I'll forever side-eye. So, I'll do a quick overview of survival mode up until wave 26, and I'll cover the free starter towers. And in case you don't want anything explained, skip ahead, and pay attention to the wave counter, there's moderately valuable information here. So, upon joining a server, you'll see 3 maps, a veto maps option, and a ready option. Vetoing allows you to change the 3 maps that are present, and readying starts the game immediately with whatever map you chose. If there's multiple players, everyone has to select veto in order to change the maps. You can veto as many times as you want in survival. Also, the reason I'm only explaining up until wave 26 is because it's boring to know it's coming. Come on, just live a little, you'll be fine. I mean, what have you been doing this whole time? I think you're breathing right now is good enough. This game is a fossil relative to all the other TD games on Roblox. You have nothing to fear. I think. Just to say it right off the bat, literally all you have to do to make it to wave 26 or just wave 20 is just spam level 5 scouts. Just don't place them in a spot where the range is wasted unless you don't have any room for a good spot. But what is Scout? The most basic starter tower. Does 1 damage and it gets more range, does 2 damage, now it does 3 damage, and now it does 4 damage and it has more range and has hidden detection. What's hidden detection? 2 enemies in this game require hidden detection to be shot at because they're hidden. Did I have to explain that? A tower having hidden detection allows them to shoot at these 2 enemies. Anyway, then there's Tweeter, an alternative to Scout. When placed, it deals 2 damage right away, then it'll get more range, then it'll get the ability to generate $80 every wave. Now, this isn't useless, but it's not particularly important because your towers are pretty cheap anyway. It still helps though. The next upgrade makes your Tweeter dual wield and now it does 3 damage and fires faster. The next upgrade, level 5, has an extremely unique ability that isn't in any other tower in the game. Or any other game for that matter, as far as I'm aware. Tweeter can now see through the range of other tweeters. So even if enemies are out of the range of that level 5 tweeter, that level 5 tweeter can shoot through the range of another tweeter regardless of its level. Also, the damage increases from 3 to 5. Lastly, the Patriot Tier, an explosive tower. Upon placing, you'll see that it has no upgrades. Don't worry, that's intentional. Unfortunately. So the Patriot Tier does 1 damage. Well, at least it does splash damage. So those are all the free towers. Now I'll talk about the waves until wave 26. I'm not going to tell you the exact enemies that are coming for every single wave, just the important stuff. Wave 1 to 7 features the normal, speedy, and slow. Normals are normal. I know, right? The speedy is a speedy enemy with less health than the normal, and slows are slow but have high health. Wave 8 brings out the first real threat, that being the boss 1. I know, the creativity is just oozing out of this game. Brace yourself though, there's more. Wave 10 brings the first enemies that have special properties in order to be hit, that being hiddens. Yeah, you remember hidden detection from earlier? Now we need that. Your options here are the level 5 scout or a sniper or fragger that is level 3 or higher. Also worth mentioning right now is that Tower Battle's towers start off at level 1, whereas most other TD games will have their towers start at level 0. Wave 13 brings the mystery, which can completely screw you over if you're really unlucky. Upon death, they'll spawn any enemy from the previous waves. Also, any enemy spawned from a mystery does not give cash. Wave 14 brings the Necromancer, a second threat. The Necromancer will spawn summons, but these guys are basically just normals with 7 health. Summons don't give cash. Wave 17 introduces the Boss 2. You need a lot of damage for this. Or you can just leave the Boss 2 at 99 health. It'll be fine, I swear! Wave 18 onwards, the game really starts chucking stuff at you, and this will be the beginning of a struggle because your towers aren't meant to be a main defense so long. Wave 19 introduces Lavas, which are high health enemies that become the Petrified, enemies that don't move and just block the path, like people who stop moving in the middle of a hallway for no reason. Wave 22 introduces the Hidden Boss. Well, you know, some people just can't handle the fame. The Hidden Boss moves pretty fast and requires hidden detection. Fortunately, this and Hiddens are the only enemies in the game that require hidden detection. Wave 23 brings out the Toxic, the first enemy so far that can stun your towers. Upon dying, they release, well, probably poison, and your towers are briefly stunned with nausea. Wave 25 introduces the Lightning, the fastest enemy in survival. Wave 26 is the wave you'll likely die if you're playing solo and are using these towers, and are also on Borderlands, although keep in mind you only have to make it to Wave 20 for 80 credits. And there is an enemy that spawns on Wave 26, but you probably won't get the chance to fight it. So after Wave 26, you're on your own. Remember to pay attention to that wave counter. Also, there's 40 waves in this game. Anyway, if that looks too hard, you might be thinking, what about playing with other people? Honestly, playing with other people isn't that bad. The majority of the struggle playing with others, besides questionable decisions they make, is the fact that there's no shared cash, meaning that the only money you make is from your towers and the wave bonus. So, you're all fighting for money between yourselves, so you'll all likely be broke the whole game. And for you specifically, your towers do fairly little past Wave 20. You'll be broke and not contributing at all after that. Pretty much anyway. Also, to make playing with others slightly less confusing, you can press Q to highlight your towers. Anyway, if you're able to triumph, you'll be awarded 150 credits. That probably took around 30 minutes. Well, there are worse ways you could have spent your time. Versus is the alternative mode to survival, and in this mode your goal is to survive longer than your enemy. You can either just let them lose to the default enemies, or you can send enemies to make rounds go by much faster. Sending is the simplest way to secure a win because you're throwing your enemy off. You either disrupt their income because sent enemies give no cash, overwhelm their defenses, and depending on the player you might just stress them out. Sending is also what allows you to be able to use almost any loadout in the mode. Even against the most effective tactics available, you can still get away with some abysmal loadouts. But since you're new, that means you have no way of competing in the battlefield, right? No. Surprisingly. The simplest strategy you can do is get one level 5 scout and then send approximately 1 million boss 1s after saving some money so you don't immediately run out of fuel because you want to send as much as possible, or in case you suddenly have to defend. This strategy probably won't work on long maps because your enemy has more time to react, and you might get overwhelmed by enemies because your money is being spent on sending and not defending. Just pay attention to what your enemy is doing and what map you're on, although that goes for every versus match too. But for people who need slightly more elaboration, I'll just run through the strategy a little more in depth. Ideally, a short map is chosen, because the longer the map, the more time your enemy has to react, and the longer you have to defend. Also, in versus, you can only veto maps once, and obviously your enemy also has to want to veto. Keep in mind, doing this is fairly risky because long maps can appear, and which, regardless of what they are usually favored over short maps. Anyway, place one scout. Upgrade that scout to level 5. That's it. Once you've fully upgraded your scout, open up the sending menu. Wait until wave 9, and as soon as wave 9 starts, start sending as many boss 1s as you can. Keep doing this until the end of wave 10, and use wave 11's wave bonus money to send too. Now there might be a couple problems that arise, one being that your enemy is also sending at the same time you are. So what is there to do? Listen carefully. Follow my instructions step by step exactly. So, the first thing you should do is start hoping that they stop sending. Listen, you might be able to somewhat contend on the battlefield, but you by no means have any way of defending against a rush. Your towers literally aren't capable of doing that. Yeah, it sucks, but that's how it is. Until you get stronger towers, your options are extremely limited. So another problem that might arise is a long map being chosen. Unless your enemy has similar-ish towers or is just playing really poorly, you're pretty much guaranteed a loss here. Sending enemies won't do a lot because they'll most likely have stronger towers that can deal with a boss 1 rush, or they're just able to deal with it because they have so much time to. And another problem with the map being long is that you have to defend longer. Since your money is already being spent on sending, you'll likely have very little defense that can already barely handle what's spawning by default. And even if you do hold off on sending and just defend, it's pretty likely that your enemy will outlast you anyway because your towers are stronger. But if you keep losing or just don't want to risk losing over and over, just play survival for credits. But if that did work, or something else, winning a versus match will award you 125 credits and 1 trophy in a timely manner. But what do trophies do? Trophies let you access the prestigious, powerful, ear-shattering golden variants of the Scout and Commando towers once you've reached the trophy requirement for each one. 150 trophies and 3,500 credits for Golden Scout, and 250 trophies and 8,500 credits for Golden Commando. Trophies also let you access the Quad-Op mode at 20 trophies, 4v4 mode at 40 trophies, and the event mode at 25 trophies. Besides that, trophies do absolutely nothing. Also, losing a versus match will award you 10 credits and 1 loss. Losses do nothing, but the game will make fun of you on repeated instances for reaching certain loss amounts. Versus matches can be won pretty fast once you know what you're doing, and remember that sending is really important to making rounds go fast. Either you send first or the enemy will. Or nobody does and you get a really slow versus match. Also worth mentioning are the technical matches and penalties in versus. A technical match happens when someone loses before wave 8, or if one side doesn't place any towers. When this happens, the winning team will only get 25 credits and no trophy. The losing team gets 5 credits and no loss. A penalty in versus is given to you when you leave during the middle of a match. You'll lose 50 credits and get 1 loss. Disconnecting also counts as a leave. Also, playing with other people in versus is fine, but don't expect a lot. Also, if you highlight your towers in versus, a green diamond is placed over your towers instead of a highlight. And obviously it goes without saying, but there's a million pre-made loadouts and strategies that are available, but a majority of them you won't have access to for a while because a lot aren't designed for fresh out of the box new players. Just do me a favor and never let your guard down in versus. Honestly, talking about the event mode is pretty weird because this mode was released nearly 2 years ago and the actual event map itself was released back in 2020. Regardless, the event mode holds a seasonal themed map that contains exclusive enemies and, as of recent, exclusive currency. This event currency can be used to buy event towers, and right now you can buy the Hollow Boomer and Graveyard. The event mode is much harder than survival and usually gives you far more starting cash than usual. To be honest, I'd say the event mode right now isn't actually that hard because you can triumph solo, and even I was able to do it. Although ideally you manage to get into a proper team of 4, which would probably make things easier. I don't suggest trying this mode at all. It's very much not meant for new players. That's all for the event mode. This is just a section dedicated to explaining things that didn't have any relation to anything I talked about previously. You can create parties to team up with your friends or random people. There exists a skin shop that right now also has event skins available. The regular skin shop resets every day at 8 PM EST. There is a stats viewer which allows you to see the maps you've triumphed or how far you've made it on each map on solo and multiplayer modes. Check out the settings menu in the bottom right corner when in-game and in the lobby. They both have different options. There isn't a lot, but there still might be something there that you want to change. The amount of towers you can place and the starting cash of the game depends on how many people you play with. The wave bonuses in survival and versus differ from each other. On PC, you can press 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to quickly select a tower to place down. Lastly, the credits in this game are pretty cheap, so there's that option to skip the grind if you want. I seriously doubt there's that many new Tower Battles players, let alone any that will look up a guide, but hey, if it helps at least one person, that's enough for me. Tower Battles is a pretty nice game. It just has this nice feel to it even though it doesn't get updated, and is certainly not perfect. To me, it feels like the only complete TD game on Roblox. Every other one feels like it needs something. The only thing I would suggest is just to add more event reruns so we aren't stuck in an eternal Halloween. But you know, getting anything at all would be nice. Okay, bye. Did it really bug out? Dude. Ugh, God.